Hey everybody, welcome back. Dr. Zeke here, your pharmacist and adult sleep coach, and today we are going to talk about a very popular topic, one of the foundations of your sleep, optimizing sleep pressure. Now, this is something that I always go over my clients because if there are any red flags, we want to tackle them then so they're able to fall asleep a little bit faster and sleep through the night because you have that sleep pressure. So, today what we're going to go over is what exactly is sleep pressure? We're going to talk about what can decrease your amount of sleep pressure, which can make it harder for you to fall asleep and stay asleep. And then what can we do to increase sleep pressure? And then also, are there any chemicals in our environment or any environmental factors for that matter that can decrease our sleep pressure or, basically block it? So let's talk about the foundation. As we all know, at the very top, we have sleep pressure and then our circadian rhythm. These, when they are linked, we are sleeping, falling asleep, doing everything that we need to do to have a good night's sleep with good quality. But we have the factors below it that can destabilize that foundation. You have your mental stressors and your physical stressors. So these are some things that we need to keep in check. Otherwise, those two at the top are going to struggle because the body is always going to prioritize the stress response over anything else, especially sleep. So let's talk about sleep pressure. When it comes to sleep pressure, it's a molecule that is broken down into something that we call adenosine. We have adenosine receptors in our brain that make us feel drowsy, makes us feel tired. That's essentially what we call sleep pressure. When we sleep, that adenosine molecule starts to deplete and gets converted. So the only way to really bring it down is a good night's rest. So if you are familiar with ATP, this is ATP, it's the energy molecule that is made up in all of our cells. When that gets broken down and used up, you have adenosine at the very end. And that is what accumulates throughout the day that targets our brain. Now, when it comes down to it, when we are asleep, that adenosine molecule gets paired up with energy molecules, which are phosphate groups, and those turn back into ATP. So we can actually recycle this when we do sleep. The body does a lot of regeneration of its processes, and this is why sleep is so important. So we don't hang on to a lot of sleep pressure throughout the day of multiple nights of bad sleep. So, how do we increase sleep pressure? Now, most of y'all know this from new parents that have babies that don't sleep, and that's prolonged wakefulness. A lot of times you have very much bad quality sleep because you're constantly waking up, changing diapers, feeding babies, rocking them on yoga balls, whatever you can think of, just to calm them down so you can have some peace and quiet. But obviously, staying awake very long increases that sleep pressure. The other thing is prolonged cognitive activity. If you're on very much stimulated all throughout the day from your job, this takes a lot of cognitive function. Your brain uses this, therefore utilizing more ATP throughout the day. Then lastly is movement and exercise. These are things that are foundational to our health. We should be doing this. So it really is a healthier way of accumulating that sleep pressure so we can fall asleep and stay asleep. And there's so many other benefits to exercise and movement that we should talk about as it relates to mental health as well as our sleep architecture, but those are for another video. Now, when it comes down to decreasing sleep pressure, this is obviously something that can sabotage us, and it mainly comes from napping. A lot of my elderly clients that are 65 and older that don't have jobs anymore, sometimes they take very long naps, sometimes 3 to 5 hours during the day, and they struggle to fall asleep at night or stay asleep at night. The other ones, they nap really close to bedtime. They'll take 8 p.m. naps and then they want to go to bed at 10 p.m. But it's just because they're so tired from not sleeping throughout the day. So we have to really adjust these things. And then obviously with sleep, a good night's rest can really lower that sleep pressure, which is really the healthiest way to do it. And I will talk about naps in another video. What are my nap rules? How do we do it to where it doesn't impact your sleep at night, especially if you're someone that's still working and still have an active lifestyle during the day. Now, we talk about blocking sleep pressure because it's something that can really sabotage your sleep when you're ready to go to bed. I put a light bulb right here because light bulbs are so important. Light is an influencer to your circadian rhythm, but at night, it can do the exact opposite. Not only can blue light or just white light, which has all the arrays of colors, including blue, can really disrupt your melatonin production. When you disrupt your melatonin production, now you're messing with your ability to stay asleep throughout the night. Now, also, going back with blue light and white light, this can also push your circadian rhythm if the light is bright enough. So we really want to minimize light at night so we can allow sleep pressure to kick in and hopefully overtake us to allow us to go to bed. The other thing is cortisol. Any type of stressful events, or let's say you had a very sugary dinner with soda, dessert, and all those other things, and your blood pressure goes very high and your body overcorrects it like it always does, and it drops your blood sugar. The blood sugar, that steep drop can stimulate cortisol, which can give you that stimulation that you need so you cannot wind down, or it might just wake you up in the middle of your night. And then lastly, I have coffee or energy drinks. Most of these contain caffeine, and caffeine can be very detrimental to your sleep pressure because caffeine is almost in the same identical molecule than adenosine, which is that sleep pressure molecule. And when you do that, caffeine replaces it so you don't feel the drowsiness in the sleep. So, like I was saying, I'm going to be doing some future videos on caffeine, what we should be thinking about, because it's not just close to bedtime, it's also the accumulated dose that you give yourself that can be a problem as well. So let's talk about habits that can enhance sleep pressure. And I'm just going to overview these and really dive deeper into another video on enhancing the sleep pressure. So obviously taking breaks is going to be very important to practice so you can take that final break at the end of your night during your wind down routine. And that's why I always say number 3 is going to be very important. We really want to open that up so you understand what kind of things you can use. Lowering stress is the important one because taking breaks is going to do that if you do it right. We're going to talk about that in our next video. What is a proper break? How do I get that wind down, that deactivation of my nervous system so I am better at doing it at night? That is going to be key. And then lastly, you have just reducing the frustration or bad habits at bedtime. Really following the lines of sleep hygiene and really trying to indicate why I need to do the sleep hygiene task and how is it important to my overall health. And then, like I said, I'm going to do another video on caffeine as well as nap rules. But in our next video, I want you to stay tuned. And just remember, guys, you can follow, you can like, you can share these videos if you find them helpful. If you have any questions, comment them below so I can answer those for you and create future content. This is new YouTube channel for me, so I really appreciate your support. And stay tuned to the next one. I'm Dr. Zeke Medina. I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.